another video. Today we are going to tackle a topic that I know a bunch of people have already tackled before. I'm late to the party as usual. This is about greatest hits albums, best of albums, compilations, and these are artists that I feel all I need from them is a good greatest hits, best of compilation. I don't need to pick up all their other studio albums or what have you. And I know some people aren't big. They prefer having the studio records. They don't really think highly of best of collections, but some artists you just feel like that's all you really need. And there's a couple of maybe quasi-controversial picks I have here that I'll save for the end. I'm sure I'll maybe get some heat about some of them, but we're going to dive right into 1990 and the Bangles greatest hits album. I like the Bangles. They have a lot of great singles, but I don't know that I really need to collect their studio albums. I do think I had one of their albums on cassette back in the 80s, and there might have been like one or two songs on there that I liked, album tracks. I think they did a really good cover of September Girls, which isn't on here. I don't think they released that as a single, but you know, on here you got Hero Takes a Fall, Going Down to Liverpool, Manic Monday, If She Knew What She Wants, Walk Like an Egyptian, Hazy Shade of Winter, In Your Room, Be With You, Eternal Flame. You know, I mean, it really, for me, kind of covers everything I really want from the Bangles. From 1996, we get the Thompson Twins. Same thing. I don't know that I really need any of their studio records. I like the Bangles. I think I had Into the Gap on cassette in the 80s. And the songs that I liked from that are all on here. In the Name of Love, If You Were Here, Hold Me Now, Doctor Doctor, The Gap, Sister of Mercy, Lay Your Hands on Me, King for a Day. They even have Nothing in Common from that movie soundtrack, which I really liked. I'm sort of surprised to find on here because I don't think it was that successful of a single. But yeah, this is all I need from the Thompson Twins. Next up, another 80s new wave band, Altered Images. Really kind of fun, poppy kind of new wave band. Picked this up not too long ago. Again, it's all I need. Happy Birthday, Real Toys, I Could Be Happy. You know, just this is all I need. I don't know what their records would really sound like, any deep tracks. I have a feeling a lot of it's already on here because they didn't have that many hits. From Australia, Mental as Anything, a band that I liked, and like I've already mentioned a couple times, I had their cassette Fundamental in the 80s and I liked that, but really what I liked on that were just like 3 songs and they're all on here. You've got Just Like Romeo and Juliet, You're So Strong, Rock and Roll Music, Mr. Natural, and one of my favorite songs of all time, Live It Up. That's what made me a fan and want to pick up some Mental as Anything. But this covers it for me. That's all I really need. And again, another 80s new wave band, Flock of Seagulls. Just picked this up pretty recently. I was never really that into them, but you know, lately I've kind of been getting into 80s new wave more, or giving some of those bands like second listens. And you know, their famous song I Ran, you know, it just really started clicking for me. I really started appreciating that song a lot more. So I thought I'd go out and pick up a copy of their album, and then found their best of, and this was certainly a lot cheaper than picking up their debut album, and it just seemed like a better idea to pick up a best of from them. I can't imagine the whole album is that great, and just the best of would handle that. On here you've got I Ran, and Space Age Love Song was the other one. A couple of the other tracks are decent, but you know, this covers everything I need from them. This is Men at Work and their best of Contraband. Again, same thing, like their hits are really all I'm that interested in. I mean, they only had 3 records. The one thing I will say, one of the songs that I really, really like by them, which was released as a single, and I think it just made the top 40, but for some reason they didn't include it on here, which was a little disappointing. That was the song Everything I Need. I don't know why they didn't put that on here. It was really bizarre. That's the only bummer about this that I could say. But all the songs that you'd probably want to listen to by Men at Work are on here. Who Can It Be Now, Down Under, It's a Mistake, Be Good Johnny, and Overkill is also on here. So yeah, that covers it all. The next batch are just some random ones here. We've got, everybody knows him from the 80s as well. This is turning into an 80s episode. Eddie Grant. I knew like 2 songs by him and saw this in Groovacious in Utah and just decided to pick it up. Thought it might be interesting to kind of listen to some of his other stuff that I wasn't familiar with. And it really turned out to be quite a good collection. And again, I don't think I would really am that interested to kind of dive deeper into them. This kind of like covers it all. Electric Avenue's on here, Romancing the Stone, I Don't Want to Dance, Living on the Front Line, War Party. And the song that I didn't know when I got this and really stood out to me is called Gimme Hope, Joanna. That's a really, really great song. Next up, Blink-182. I said it, Blink-182. I like them, you know? I mean, I have no interest really in owning any of their albums, but they've written some really good, catchy pop punk songs, and I like quite a few of them. And this pretty much covers the gamut. If I ever feel like listening to some Blink-182, this is all I need. On here you've got Damn It, Josie, What's My Age Again, Man Overboard, The Rock Show, Feeling This, I Miss You. And they do kind of a pretty good cover of Another Girl, Another Planet, as I guess it was kind of like a bonus track to, you know, add to the greatest hits like a lot of people do. But it's really good. I like it. I enjoy it. I'm not going to apologize for owning that. Eddie Money, same thing. All the hits that I really like by Eddie Money, they're all on here. Baby Hold On, 2 Tickets to Paradise, I Want to Go Back, Take Me Home Tonight, I Think I'm in Love. And there's one tune on here, Peace in Our Time, which I think he recorded for this as the extra track. And that's a really good song as well. So Run DMC, greatest hits. I think I picked this up at one of the Virgin Megastores in New York City when they were all closing down and they had these great sales, like everything, to get rid of everything. Everything was like 50% off or more. And I think that's where I picked up this one. But again, same thing, you know, like I'm repeating over and over again. This covers it for me with Run DMC. You've got King of Rock, It's Tricky, Run's House, Rock Box, Mary Mary, and they even have Christmas in Hollis on here from the special Christmas album, 38 Special. I was never really that big a fan of 38 Special, but then in like 1987, they did a song for the soundtrack of the film Revenge of the Nerds 2. Called Back to Paradise, and I really like that song. You know, it's just a really good like rock pop song. And that made me, I think I had to like the single, and then I just decided to pick this up because I was familiar with most of the stuff that was on here. And it seemed like, you know, it'd be a pretty good purchase. So I bought this back then, and I really like it. You know, again, it didn't drive me to want to like, you know, investigate any of their other studio albums, see if there's any album tracks that I am missing out on. But like this whole record, I really enjoyed. It's just chock full of some great like rock pop hits. Hold On Loosely, If I'd Been the One, Caught Up in You, and Back Where You Belong. But like every tune on here I really like. I think the whole album's really good. Okay, so now on to the controversy. These ones, I think a lot of people will disagree with me completely, but you know, it's my opinion, and feel free to tell me how wrong I am. But 1980, Aerosmith's greatest hits. This, you know, just covers like their 70s stuff. I've never really been a big fan of Aerosmith's post-70s output. I've never been a big fan of Aerosmith, but I do like a handful of these songs. Their 80s stuff, I've never really been that, you know, interested in. The 90s, certainly not. But I do like a handful of these 70s songs like Dream On, Same Old Song and Dance, Sweet Emotion, Walk This Way, Back in the Saddle Again. And even their cover of Come Together is really good. So yeah, this is all I need from Aerosmith, really, to be quite honest. And another one, maybe even more controversial, that I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but David Bowie. This covers everything for me for David Bowie. It's a 2 CD set. And you know, I've never been a huge fan of David Bowie. I like a lot of his songs. You know, I know how much people love him and everything, but for me, this covers it completely. You know, when it comes to him, if I ever want to listen to David Bowie, everything that I would want to hear is on here. like Changes, Suffragette City, Ziggy Stardust, All the Young Dudes, Gene Genie, Panic in Detroit, Rebel Rebel, Young Americans, Heroes, Cat People, Modern Love, Blue Jean. They even have Under the God on here by Tin Machine, which I always kind of like that. But yeah, sorry to disappoint all of you. I'm sure now you will all unsubscribe to me. But yeah, this is all I need for David Bowie. And next, again, probably maybe a controversial opinion, although I have a feeling some people might kind of agree with this one, but Elton John, Greatest Hits. Same thing. I like a lot of his hit songs. I've never had any interest in diving any deeper into his catalog. The only thing I will say here, and this maybe I'm kind of skirting the topic a little bit, is I do have Elton John Greatest Hits Volume 2. And these two, to me, you know, cover it all for me. I'm not a big fan of like his 80s output. These were both from the 70s. But you know, his 80s stuff didn't really interest me all that much. This kind of covers it. I imagine there's reissued versions of these where maybe this is like combined onto one set or whatever. I wouldn't be surprised. But on here, you've got Your Song, Danielle, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, Rocket Man, Benny and the Jets, Crocodile Rock. And then on volume 2, you get The Bitch Is Back, Tiny Dancer, Philadelphia Freedom, Island Girl, I even kind of like, Leave On. So yeah, those all I need from Elton John. I know a little bit of an asterisk on this one because it's 2 CDs, not just one, but I'm sure you all let me slide. So if those weren't controversial for you enough, now we've got the big one. That's right, the Rolling Stones. Do you hear that, everybody? That's the sound of our good friend Alan Rosenberg falling off his chair and hitting the unsubscribe button on my videos. So yeah, I mean, I like the Rolling Stones. I've never been that big a fan of them, but when they released this 40 Licks CD, it's a 2 CD set. I don't know when this came out, in the 2000s, I think, 2002. Yeah, I decided to pick this up because it pretty much covered everything that I would want from the Rolling Stones. The only omission on here that shocks me it's not on here is Heartbreaker, which I don't know how you leave that off this. There's 4 like new tracks on here that, you know, everybody did that with CDs, best ofs. They always throw on those extra tracks. We've seen it here tonight, but these 4 tracks, I would much prefer there being 4 other classic Rolling Stones songs on here instead of those 4. I mean, I think when you're a band like the Rolling Stones, you can kind of get away with that a little bit more, of not having to come up with 4 brand new tracks to put on your best of release, because 90% of the time those 4 tracks don't hold up and they almost feel out of place next to all these other classics. But you know, like I said, everything's on here that I would possibly want. Give Me Shelter, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Can't Always Get What You Want, Under My Thumb, Ruby Tuesday, Beast of Burden, Tumbling Dice, Emotional Rescue. Everything's on here, and this is my little ticket stub from when I went and saw them in '89 on the Steel Wheels tour at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Pretty good show from what I remember. Some very bizarre things happened when we went to that show. I'll save that for another time. But yeah, these are all the artists that all I need is a really good compilation for, and I'm set. You know, feel free to tell me how wrong I am about David Bowie and these guys. And let me know what artists you only need a best of for. And thanks for watching, and see you the next time. They rock.